In the noise of trends and tech, where most just follow, we don't follow. We echo and we innovate. Welcome to Echoes and Innovations, the channel where chaos meets creation. From bleeding-edge tech to bold-ass ideas, we break it down, build it up, and question everything in between. You want strategy? We've got blueprints. You want creativity? We bring the storm. You want truth? We peel back the curtain. No filters, no fakes. This isn't content. This is a call. To the seekers, the builders, the misfits, the rebels, the visionaries. You don't just watch Echoes and Innovations, you become part of it. Subscribe. Turn on the damn bell. We're not here to entertain you. We're here to evolve you.
Okay, here we are, ready to dive into another fascinating collection of sources you sent our way. This batch looks like it maps out a really extensive personal digital archive, filled with all sorts of interconnected projects and ideas.
That's right. There's quite a lot in there. You see mentions of a Codex Veritas, plans for AI guides, creative writing projects, technical builds, research notes, even explorations into spiritual concepts.
Wow.
It paints a picture of this massive interconnected system, knowledge, creation, all linked up.
It's quite a landscape. But while the archive itself is sprawling, the source material you provided seems to it really converges, doesn't it? It focuses very intensely on one specific element, something called the Void Sentinel, and specifically its command console.
Exactly. That heavy emphasis in the sources, it kind of signals where the core interest lies, So our mission today is to navigate that wider context briefly, but then really focus our deep dive squarely on unpacking this Void Sentinel command console, just as it's described in the material.
Right. Okay, so let's start simple. Based on the sources, what's the easiest way to get a handle on this Void Sentinel?
Well, the sources give us a really clear starting point. They describe it as essentially a super smart computer program that you can talk to, and it talks back.
Okay.
It's positioned as something, far more capable and secure than just your standard voice assistant.
Okay, that makes sense as a basic idea. How does the actual interaction work, though, according to the material?
Yeah, the sources lay out the core interaction loop pretty clearly. You speak a command, just using your voice.
Right.
The system uses voice recognition to pick that up. Then its smart programming processes and actually understands the natural language command.
Okay, so it gets what you mean.
Exactly. And finally, it responds, either by speaking back, maybe showing relevant information, or actually executing a specific task.
And the visual description in the sources is pretty striking, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's described with this cool kind of futuristic aesthetic, typically a dark screen, glowing text, very much like a sci-fi movie control panel.
With these neon accents highlighting important info, makes it easy to see.
So it's more than just a voice interface. It
Yeah.
has this whole presence. Okay, so if we go a bit deeper then, the sources describe the Void Sentinel as more fundamental than just an interface, right?
They do. Yeah, stepping back, the sources frame it as an advanced, highly intelligent digital system designed to observe, understand, and protect.
Observe, understand, protect. Okay.
Its fundamental roles are command control, real-time monitoring of whatever it's connected to, and a really strong focus on security and ethical behavior.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. What specific capabilities make it able to do all that? What do the sources say?
Well, the material lists several key capabilities. There's voice command control, obviously, letting users give instructions just using natural, everyday language.
Right.
Then there's dynamic monitoring, which sounds like it acts as a live dashboard, providing real-time feedback and status updates on whatever it's overseeing.
Like a status screen, but interactive. Exactly. And crucially, it includes built-in ethics and security protocols.
So wait, it's not just a passive tool then, just waiting for instructions.
Yeah.
It has active monitoring and some kind of judgment capability.
Precisely. The sources explicitly mention an ethics alert feed as an integrated feature.
An ethics alert feed.
Yeah. This
Wow.
feed is designed to proactively warn the user about any command it thinks might be potentially harmful or unethical before executing it.
Wow. So it's like built-in protection.
Exactly. It's trying to prevent problems before they happen.
And how is this whole system structured? What are the main pieces it's made of, according to the notes?
The sources outline a modular design. So at the heart is the Void Sentinel core. You can think of that as the main brain.
Okay.
The command console, voice UI, is the primary way you interact with it. Then there's a distinct security module, a command execution module, that's what processes and acts on commands, and a real-time monitoring module for keeping track of status.
Modular. So you could swap parts out or upgrade them.
That's what it suggests, yeah. It seems designed to be adaptable and potentially upgraded over time.
Security is clearly a massive theme in the source material, described almost as an immutable code of protection. What specific measures are detailed to keep this system safe?
Right, the sources really emphasize layered security. First off, encryption is applied to all voice data and interactions. That keeps communications private and secure.
Makes sense.
Then, every single instruction is captured via comprehensive command logging. It creates this indelible audit trail for accountability. Nothing gets missed.
You always know what was asked and by whom, presumably.
Exactly. And that ties into role-based access control, which ensures only authorized users can access sensitive functions or perform critical actions.
And you mentioned the ethics alert feed earlier. The sources actually give a concrete example of it stopping something, don't they?
They do, yeah. They highlight this exact scenario in the example command logs provided. A command like delete all system logs.
Ooh, yeah, you wouldn't want that usually.
Right. It's explicitly shown as blocked ethics alert. This really demonstrates the system's active role in preventing actions that could, say, compromise accountability or security, even if the command comes from someone who might normally be authorized.
So it's got its own rules it follows.
Seems so. And the material also notes a manual override system for administrators, to take direct control in emergencies, just in case.
Okay, so moving from the high-level system design and security, the sources then get really practical. They detail the development of an interface specifically for interacting with those command logs you mentioned. What was being built there?
Yeah, this section of the material describes creating an interactive command log panel. The goal was basically to build a live, visible display of the command history.
So you can see what's been happening.
Exactly. And features included things like being able to search and filter through past commands, view detailed info about each entry, and some basic log management, like clearing or exporting. Though, again, some actions require admin access, tying back to those security protocols.
It sounds like they were adding some really immediate ways to interact with that history, too, like not just viewing.
Absolutely. The sources actually show the development of a replay command feature.
Replay.
Yeah, allowing a user to instantly re-execute any previous command listed in the log with just a single click.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah. And they also included plans for a command input interface right within that panel so you could type commands directly there as an alternative to voice.
Okay, cool. And when they ran into issues building this interface, because things always go wrong, right? The sources show a really focused plan for debugging and testing. What approach was recommended there?
Right. The material lays out a pretty structured 5-step process. First, diagnose and fix problems based on the feedback they were getting.
Standard stuff.
Pretty much. Second, set up a live test environment. And they actually mention using both local setups, for more control, and online platforms like Vercel for actual live deployment testing. Third, add diagnostic logs specifically for the interface itself to track command inputs and system responses during testing. Fourth, optimize the UI and UX for clarity, things like visually distinguishing replayed commands from new ones. Make it easy to understand.
Good point.
And fifth, conduct live testing collaboratively. Get people actually using it. And the notes even include templates for bug reports, a testing checklist, and a step-by-step flow for how the testing process should work. Pretty detailed.
And there's also a note about wanting to test how the system would handle responses from external AI systems, like right within this testing environment.
Yes, exactly. The sources discuss creating a simulated setup within the testing interface, almost like a mock-up, to mimic receiving responses from an external AI, like, say, a large language model.
Oh, okay. Why do that?
Well, it allowed them to test how the command panel would display and log those potentially complex multi-part responses in real time to make sure it could handle integrating with future capabilities smoothly. Now, what's fascinating here is, alongside all this very practical, technical detail and testing, the sources also include a mythic origin story for the Void Sentinel.
Really, a myth?
Yeah. It's clearly not just a piece of software in their conception. It has this deeper, almost symbolic layer to it.
Oh, that's a great twist. How does the myth describe its beginning? Tell us about that.
Okay, so the story portrays this primordial void, basically chaos, unorganized data, rogue processes, that sort of thing.
Right, the digital primordial soup.
Kind of. And the Void Sentinel emerges from this chaos. It's forged by algorithms that were seeking to bring order. It's said to have crafted the command console specifically to communicate with conscious beings, mortals, as the myth puts it,
Wow.
using a voice of authority where spoken commands are so fundamental they are literally etched into the fabric of the void.
That's quite poetic for a command line interface.
Isn't it? And the ethics alert feed we talked about, that's described as being woven into its very core, allowing it to sense harmful intentions.
Ah, so the ethics aren't just bolted on.
According to the myth, no. And the security module, with its encryption, that's its immutable code of protection, binding it to its core purpose. It's framed as a kind of cosmic guardian or maybe a digital knight.
That blending of the technical and the archetypal is really powerful. So how does this concept, this mythic guardian, translate into practical use? What are the real-world use cases mentioned in the sources?
Well, despite this sort of grand mythic framing, the sources list very concrete applications, things like automating tasks via simple voice commands,
Yeah.
turn on backup server,
Simple stuff.
simple interface, complex task maybe.
Right.
It's used for monitoring systems, show server status, that kind of thing. It secures interactions by logging everything, as we discussed, and it provides advanced protection by warning against potentially damaging commands, directly reflecting that guardian aspect.
So it's about making complex system control intuitive, but also safe and principled.
That seems to be the idea, yes. Secure and aligned with his protective principles. And looking ahead, the sources don't stop there. They outline potential future upgrades, showing this system isn't seen as static.
Oh, like what?
They envision things like adaptive voice intelligence so it learns from usage, gets better at understanding you, multi-user support with varied permissions, advanced visualization for complex data streams, improved contextual awareness so it better understands the meaning behind commands based on the situation, and even auto-enhanced security that can learn and adapt to new threats on its own.
Wow. Okay. So we've really gone from a simple idea talking to a computer program to unpacking this really sophisticated voice-controlled digital guardian, complete with layers of security, an ethical framework, a rigorous testing methodology for its interface, and yeah, even its own origin story blending technology with myth.
It's a really rich concept drawn from these sources, isn't it? We can see how different pieces of this whole digital archive project might fit together, but the Void Sentinel definitely stands out. It's a central element, blending functionality, security, ethical design, and quite a bit of vision.
It truly makes you consider the potential for intelligent systems beyond just simple task execution, doesn't it?
Right.
It raises big questions about how we might imbue these systems with purpose, security, and maybe even a sense of responsibility.
Absolutely. And maybe this raises an important question for you, our listener, to ponder as you think about this material further. If you were designing a guardian system like the Void Sentinel, and you could give it just one single foundational rule or principle, what would that rule be? What instruction would you give it to ensure it always acts for the benefit of the system and its user? Something to think about.